Have you ever walked into a room and caught a musty, sharp scent, but couldn't quite place it? What if I told you that 95% of people don't even know this odor has a name, or that it starts in just 5 overlooked spots on the human body? Years ago, when I was taking care of my aging grandmother, I noticed something I didn't have the words for back then. Her home was always clean, she bathed regularly, and yet there was a scent, faint but persistent, like old newspapers stored in a warm attic. I brushed it off until one day, a nurse quietly told me, "It's nonal." That word stuck with me. I looked it up later and learned that this chemical compound, produced by oxidized fatty acids in the skin, is what gives off that senior smell. Not from poor hygiene, but from biology. That discovery launched me down a rabbit hole I never expected, because no one talks about how it starts, or how easy it is to prevent. I dove deep into dermatology reports, Japanese studies, they discovered nonenal first, even old folk remedies. And what I found shocked me. It wasn't about fancy soaps or scrubbing harder. The real issue? 5 specific areas of the body that most people clean wrong or ignore entirely. These spots become breeding grounds for nonenal over time, especially as we age and our skin chemistry changes. But if you learn to wash these areas properly, regularly, and gently, you can not only eliminate the odor, but prevent it entirely. What I'm about to share is something even most doctors won't tell you, but once you know it, you'll never forget it. I remember a specific day that changed everything for me. My grandmother had just returned from a doctor's appointment, and the nurse had given her some advice on maintaining skin health as she got older. One of the tips? Pay attention to areas like behind the ears and the back of the neck. I remember thinking it was odd. Those seemed like such small, insignificant parts of the body. But then I started to notice how often people, especially the elderly, miss those exact spots during bathing. It was like an epiphany. I decided to start experimenting. First, I observed. I began gently pointing out these areas to my grandmother during her showers. She was hesitant at first. Who wants to be told they're not washing right, especially at that age? But we did it together, turned it into a routine. We used a soft cloth, warm water, and a natural soap rich in persimmon extract, which I later found was one of the only things scientifically proven to break down nonenal. We'd wash behind the ears, around the neck, under the breasts, behind the knees, and around the groin. 5 places, 5 small changes. The difference was noticeable in days. Not just to me, but to others. Her caretaker commented first, then her neighbors. The odor, gone. More than that, her skin looked healthier, less dry. She felt more confident. She smiled more. It was like watching someone come back to life, simply because their body no longer betrayed their age with a scent they couldn't control. And yet, no one was talking about it. So I kept digging. I interviewed gerontologists, spoke with caregivers, even reached out to dermatologists across the world. What I learned was staggering. Most skin odor in seniors wasn't caused by bacteria alone, as most people assumed. It was due to the breakdown of omega-7 fatty acids on the skin surface, creating nonenal, which clings to fabrics, bedding, and furniture. Traditional soaps couldn't break it down. Fragrance masked it temporarily, but without treating the source, the skin in those overlooked areas, it would always return. That's when I realized this wasn't just about my grandmother. It was about millions of people silently suffering from a problem they didn't even know they had. Parents, grandparents, even middle-aged people starting to notice a subtle change in how their clothes smelled. It wasn't sweat, it wasn't dirt, it was time and biology leaving a mark. The journey took me to Japan, where researchers had been studying this for over 2 decades. They'd even coined the term kareishu to describe the phenomenon. In Tokyo, I met with a biochemist named Dr. Saito, who had devoted his entire career to understanding the skin's aging process. He told me something that struck me deeply. The skin speaks the truth of age, but odor is its unspoken cry. It was poetic, almost tragic, and entirely preventable. Dr. Sato showed me microscopic images of skin cells in older adults. The areas where nonenal production was highest matched perfectly with the spots we tend to wash the least carefully. The folds behind the knees, the creases behind the ears, the soft skin under the arms and breasts. Places where sweat, sebum, and dead skin mix in a perfect storm. He emphasized something critical. Washing harder wasn't the answer. Washing smarter was. Lukewarm water, pH balance cleansers, circular motion for 30 seconds per area. I returned home with a mission. I started teaching others, quietly at first, caregivers, friends, anyone who would listen. I created a guide, then a blog, then this video, because everyone deserves to age with dignity without their bodies betraying them in the form of an odor no one talks about, but everyone notices. It's not vanity, it's humanity. What started as a personal concern became a public passion. I heard from a woman whose father had started avoiding social events because he was embarrassed by the scent he couldn't trace. I told her the 5 spots. She wrote back 2 weeks later, "It's like he came back. He's himself again." That's what this is really about, helping people reclaim their presence, their confidence, their normal. So let's go deeper, not just into what these 5 spots are, but why they matter. Why they hold the key to one of the most misunderstood aspects of aging, and why simply knowing about them could change the way we care for our loved ones and ourselves for life. I began working directly with caregivers in local clinics, watching their routines, understanding their challenges. What I saw was eye-opening. Many were overworked, undertrained, and forced to rush through daily care regimens. Bathing became a checkbox, not a ritual. It's not their fault. It's the system. But in that rush, those 5 spots were often skipped. Behind the ears, missed. Under the breasts, too sensitive, they'd say. Behind the knees, forgotten entirely. The neck and groin, cleaned quickly, superficially. And with that, no Nenal had a free pass to thrive. One elderly man I met, Mr. Callahan, had stopped hugging his grandchildren, not because he didn't love them, but because every time they came close, he could feel their hesitation. "I think they smell something," he whispered one day. We sat down, talked about the 5 spots, and within a week, with a little help from his visiting nurse, the difference was so profound, his youngest grandchild wrapped him in the tightest hug he'd had in years. Mr. Callahan cried, "I did too. These stories are everywhere." A woman in her 50s emailed me, "I thought I was losing my mind. I'd shower and still smell off. I started your routine, and for the first time in months, I felt clean." This isn't just about the elderly. Our skin begins to change much earlier than we think. Hormonal shifts, lifestyle stressors, diet, and environment, all of it affects how our bodies smell. And most people don't even notice the subtle shift until someone else does. That's the tragedy. I developed a simple test. I call it the fabric sniff. After a full day, press your nose to your collar, the inner elbows, or the back of your shirt. If there's a sharpness, a metallic undertone, or something you can't quite name, it could be non-enal. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to learn how to fight it. And it starts with washing smarter. Not harder, not longer, just smarter. And so this isn't just a video, it's a message, a journey, a call to reclaim a part of ourselves that we're taught to ignore. The human scent tells stories. Some are beautiful, some are raw, and some, like non-enal, can be rewritten. Stick with me. I'm going to show you exactly how to change the ending.